All right. So this is my Special Forces season episode 10 review. And I don't know if there's going to be a second season. I would love to see more celebrities do this. But anyway, I was both happy and disappointed with the recruits, not with the show. So, this show was kind of weird this episode. Um so now the recruits are supposed to go in for interrogation, and we meet the interrogating team, and we meet the umpire, which, unlike the others, he's obviously still being employed as an interrogator because they're keeping his face covered. You just see his beard, which I wouldn't be surprised if the beard was fake. I mean, at this point, why not go whole hog and even make it so the beard isn't actually real? But anyway, so they explain what's going to happen, and that if they've had enough, to raise your hand and ask to see the umpire. And then they all go to get the lowdown from DS as to who these people are. I mean, not their names necessarily, but just to give an idea of who these people are and what they've gleaned from them. Obviously, so they could try to establish a rapport, or maybe get under their skin. Which, with Dwight, was surprisingly easy for Debs. But anyway. So, Hannah and Carly were trying to establish a rapport, or at least not be confrontational and combative. If they were offered clothes, they were willing to take their clothes. The guys were a bit more dickish. Danny was like, if you want me to wear those clothes, like, dude, did you not hear what Billy said about having a gun in his mouth? That he thought his head was going to be blown off? Do you really, really want to be a jerk? If you're offered clothes, say thank you. Yes, I will take the clothes. I mean, I realize that there are safeguards because they're not going to actually kill people on the show, but this is supposed to be simulating a real life situation. Do you really in real life, are you really going to say that to someone whose your life is literally in their hands? Anyway. So I was disappointed that Danny was giving attitude. I really was. Dwight, I'm not surprised because, like he said, he covers up his insecurities and to show people that you didn't get to him by being a smartass. And maybe it's peppered with sexism. I didn't think so at first, but after what happened at the end, I'm going to say, yeah, there's some sexism involved. But, because Debs wasn't doing anything different the guys were doing. I mean, she just simply asked him questions like, how tall are you? She needed to step on a milk crate to see eye to eye to him. And actually, I don't think even then she was seeing eye to eye. I think he was still a little taller. And he was coming up with these stupid answers like, I'm 5'11". Dude, if you're going to be a smartass, at least make yourself taller than you are. Like say you're 8 feet tall or something. Don't say something obviously ridiculous. I mean, that's obviously ridiculous too, but obviously wrong. You're obviously taller than that because there are people in this world, and a lot of them in the NBA, that are taller than 5'11". I mean, come on. I mean, and then, how many kids do you have? 20. Uh, why? 5 kids is already a lot, dude. You don't need to make it seem like, you're Wilt Chamberlain. Anyway, so, yeah, he was pissing her off, which, if you've been captured and if you're being interrogated, yeah, probably being a smartass is not your best play. I mean, what he did later, which is what I started thinking was fake. That I thought could have been a smart play, to try to escape by pretending that you need to see a doctor. But what he did with Debs, no. So, yeah, that just annoyed the hell out of me. The guys were just being really stupid. Like I said, the girls were, being nice, trying to establish the rapport, like they were told to do. Anyway, so, so then they all get sent into a holding container. Let's face it, it was just their storage container on the compound. And they had all sorts of noises to drive them crazy, which I found it hilarious that one of them was the dial-up tone from the old internet when it first started and everybody had dial-up. I found that amusing. I'm pretty sure people of my generation probably would have handled that just fine, because we remember dial-up. We might actually have been amused by it. I mean, yeah, eventually it would get annoying, but not to the point that we would probably end it. But anyway, so while the girls are being interrogated, Danny is just losing his mind listening to these sounds, and Dwight is just lying on the floor passed out. Now again, I don't know if this was a bit of trickery on his part or it was supposed to be. He just wasn't bright enough to carry it through, or there was something very wrong. And, he really was cold, so he was basically hibernating. Either way, he went to the doctor, and, the doc cleared him, and in the meantime, Danny calls for the umpire. And everybody, Billy especially, was so upset that he did this, because, he was doing so well. He was so close to the end. He was just 5 hours away. And he was saying his hips were killing him. So it wasn't just the shoulder anymore. It was the hips as well. And I wonder if it wasn't that his hips were killing him simply because he was compensating for the shoulder. That his body was compensating for the bum shoulder, and so then he ended up hurting his hips. I don't know. So he called it quits. And obviously and I didn't realize that they were segregated, you know, with the guys and the girls. It wasn't until the end when Hannah asked, where are the guys, that it even occurred to me that they could have been separate. But now I don't know if this was deliberate on Hannah's part or she honestly had problems with Danny's last name, because he was like, okay, what's the name of the guy with you? Danny. What's his second name? Which I have to admit is a very strange way of asking what's his last name, what's his surname, but what's his second name? I would literally have thought his middle name. I wouldn't have even thought that he meant last name, because your middle name is literally your second name. And in the US anyway, and in Britain too, if you're not a royal anyway, middle names are a thing. So yeah, I would have thought middle name, and so it never would have even occurred to me to say, I don't know what his middle name is. Rather than saying his last name. But Hannah had fun with Danny's last name and said, well, it's like this. And he's like, armadillo? I have to admit, I found that amusing. And like I said, I don't know if just in the moment, Hannah just didn't remember Amendola, or she never quite knew his last name, or like I said, maybe she was just having fun. I don't know. But so Danny chose to leave. Dwight goes back and they douse him with cold water. I really thought that they were going to pour it over his head, but it could be a matter of they couldn't reach that high because he's like 6'8", 6'9", not 5'11". And so they doused him with cold water and put him back in the holding pen. Oh, wait, no, wait. Yeah, they put him back in the holding pen. Then they took him to questioning. And this time he was talking with one of the guys. I think they said his name was Dixie. And he was having a nice conversation with Dixie. And he didn't seem like he was acting any differently than Deb was. Than Deb's was. So, yeah, that's why I was starting to think maybe there was some sexism involved, because a woman was talking to him as opposed to a guy. That he's used to a guy talking to him like that, but not a woman, I guess. Which is weird from what little I've heard of black women. So yeah, that just strange. But anyway, so yeah, so then they decide to basically put him in a box, put him in a hole. And Debs is back and saying, because they figured it out, they're like, I think that he has a problem with you because you're a woman. And so they try it out by, the guys are there, but she's the one who's yelling at Dwight. And so they put him in a hole. And actually, in this regard, I'm kind of glad that Danny left early, because they would probably put them in the hole together, and I don't think there's a hole big enough for both Dwight and Danny because they're both big guys. I mean, Danny's not a tall guy, but he's built. So, so then they start throwing dirt on the box, and she's basically begging him to, say the right thing and all this will end. But no, Dwight ends up saying the wrong thing, and everybody was like a collective. What is wrong with you? So, and Dwight did say that, he doesn't like seeing people, he doesn't like people seeing him uncomfortable or like that they're getting to him. And I get that, but this is a simulation of an actual interrogation by the enemy. What do you think is going to happen? Now, I mean, it's great that he's willing to die for to keep a secret, but who exactly are you helping here? You'll end up dead and they'll be pissed off and look for the rest of the company. I failed to see what he was accomplishing with this. So, because if this was a true interrogation, because he was with Danny, Carly, and especially Carly, because they were in two separate groups. But, Carly would be screwed, especially because she was literally with him. She was captured with it. What is wrong with you? Seriously. I mean, earlier on, Carly, they one of the guys, I think it was Dixie, but I don't know which one it was. One of the guys was like, "You're an idiot for going out by yourselves in the middle of the night, in the middle of the desert." And Carly's just like, "Yeah." Oh, so I love that she never broke. She never broke. She did stupid shit, like when they were testing their stories against each other, which I still don't understand why they split them up with the two girls and the two guys, because they literally captured them, Dwight and Carly together, Danny and Hannah together. So I don't know why they split them up like that. But anyway, so Dwight gets taken out and to the container where the guys come in and are like, "What is wrong with you?" We're here to explain to you why we're pulling you, and this is why. And he's like, "But she was annoying me." Yeah, that's her job. And I'm like, "What, the guys weren't?" They were literally the ones who were shoveling dirt on you. They were the ones who were pouring water on you. I don't understand why she was more annoying than the guys. She wasn't doing anything different. So anyway, so he was the next to leave, so now we're stuck with two. And so it's decided that the two girls, who both of them are, one is meditating and the other one is just lying down. I think it was Hannah who's meditating, just trying to not let the noise get to them. And so they get put in a hole, and they were like, "Yep, we have nothing to say." And finally, Hannah and Carly are like, "Yeah, maybe we should tell them." So they knock on the door, They open the door and find out that they work for Special Forces. But they didn't just say Special Forces. They said American and British Special Forces because, well, two of each. But, at least they gave something. Everybody was cheering. The staff was cheering. The umpire was cheering. Everybody was thrilled that they gave the right answer. So, I don't know how that helps them any. I really don't know, because if I found out that Special Forces was infiltrating my camp, I don't know if I would be so thrilled. But I guess it was more that, oh, now we can get information out of these people. And then it's a matter of where do you go next with that? But anyway. So they end up winning the whole course because they make a show. The guys made a show of, well, now we've got to decide which one truly passed. Yes, they passed this phase, but there's all this other stuff to take into consideration, and they gave it to both of them, which didn't surprise me. I'm not surprised at all that Carly made it to the end. I'm not, based on how Hannah was doing, not surprised at all either. So yeah, they got to go home in style. And by in style, I mean a military helicopter with all the guys with them. I mean, that's got to be the safest place for those two women, is surrounded by four, badass guys, four Special Forces guys. That's the safest that they'll ever be. Let's see if there's anything else. Like I said at the beginning, I really do hope there's a season 2 for this, because it was fun. It was a lot of fun to see how these people, what was their breaking point. And to see Hannah do better than so many athletes. This also makes me kick that Gus had this allergic reaction, because I would have loved to have seen how he would have dealt with this, because he is in a very unique position. No, he doesn't have the heckling. He doesn't have the heckling of Danny and Dwight, so he doesn't have that combative nature that they do. That he probably doesn't have that. But because he's part of the LGBT community, and many of them get all sorts of crap just for existing, not just because we hate you because of what team you play for, but literally we hate you because you exist. That's an entirely different ballpark. So so hopefully they'll have a season 2 and maybe bring back some of the celebrities who want to come back. Or like, I'm not happy with how this ended, I want another chance. So, I believe that's all I have for this episode. It was the season finale, so I will see you guys next time for The Mandalorian.